Hello to my feasting friends. Let me get adjusted here. There we go. It's been a while, hasn't it, friends? I think it was winter last time we were together. And now it is spring where I live. I hope you're having nice weather and good sunny days and good spring rains where you are. Last we were together, I shared with you that Passover is actually an umbrella term. It's an umbrella term that encompasses the Passover Seder or the Passover meal, the week of unleavened bread, and also the Feast of Firstfruits. That's the one that gets lost sometimes as we read through Leviticus chapter 23. That's the reason I'm reading my ESV translation, because it's a clearer English translation for my understanding as I read through Leviticus 23 about this time of year. So I am going to read to you from Leviticus chapter 23, starting in verse 4, and we'll go through verse 10. Okay, here we go. These are the appointed feasts of the Lord, the holy convocations, which you shall proclaim at the time appointed for them. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at twilight, is the Lord's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread to the Lord. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall not do any ordinary work, but you shall present a food offering to the Lord for 7 days. On the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall do no ordinary work. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, When you come into the land that I give you and reap its harvest, you shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord so that you may be accepted. On the day after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. So I actually went through verse 11. It was chapter 23 of Leviticus, verses 4 through 11. So in that, we hear about the Passover that takes place at twilight on the 14th day of the month. Of course, we're talking about the Hebrew month. We've been through that a few months back. It's not the same as the 14th day of the month on your calendar today, but you can easily find that. You can Google it. I recommended to you the Tree of Life calendar. Just do a little research, a little homework. You'll know when the right day is. Then on the 15th day of the month, which is actually after the sundown on the 14th, it becomes the 15th day of the month, is the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Then it mentions the 7th day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The 1st and the 7th are days that are considered high Sabbaths. You have a holy convocation. And then we get this little Firstfruits day that once Israel has come into the land, they are to celebrate by waving the first fruits on the day after the Sabbath. So the day after the Sabbath is always on a Sunday. Now there are friends who disagree with me on this, and they think it's talking about one of the high Sabbaths, and that's okay. You know, when Yeshua returns, he's going to straighten us all out. We're all wrong about something, trust me. I happen to think that it's actually the day after the regular weekly Sabbath, and that would be always a Sunday for first fruits. Now this year, on the calendar that I keep, and we've talked about calendars, if you keep a different one, you have my love and my blessing. But on the calendar that I keep, the day of first fruits falls on the same day as many of our friends throughout Christendom celebrate the resurrection of Yeshua. Interestingly, though, that date is a date that was made up in, I guess, the 2nd century. I get my centuries mixed up. In the 300s. It might have been the 4th century. But here, thousands of years ago, back in Leviticus 23, the Father has already designated a day to be first fruits. And we know that Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus, was raised as the first fruits. We read that in the New Testament. So do a little study and find that. And it will be quite eye-opening as you look at celebrating first fruits this year. I mentioned that first fruits this year falls on the same day as the church holiday that celebrates the birth of Jesus. And it doesn't always happen that way. So just because it happened this year, just be watchful, because many years, most years, that will not happen. So if you're trying to celebrate on first fruits, you want to be wise in trying to determine and discern when that really takes place. Okay, so Leviticus 23 verses 4 through around 11 gives you kind of the tease out of the three things that make up what we call under the umbrella term of Passover, okay? So you've got Passover, you have the week of unleavened bread, and you have first fruits. So in some ways we've been pretty technical about this holiday and this season. And we've looked at like what we're supposed to do and what we're supposed to eat is on everybody's mind and getting the leaven out of our homes. But I would like to encourage you to go deeper into your thoughts. Those are the physical things that Scripture teaches us to do. But the physical is there to teach you the spiritual. Okay? So don't get so hung up in what are we going to eat? Did we get all the leaven out? Am I doing it on the right day? That you miss that the Passover lamb was given for you. That Yeshua has been raised as first fruits. That the week of unleavened bread represents our sanctification. So while these things are important teachers, the physical, the spiritual is the real lesson. So don't miss that. Okay? All right. Some of you have asked some really great practical questions about items that might be used at a Passover Seder. And so first I want to tell you don't have to have a Passover Seder. You can follow the biblical commands by retelling the story of the Exodus, eating bitter herbs, and eating matzah and drinking juice. Okay, you can do that and you are doing just fine. No problem. I did share with you my Haggadah, which is just a fancy word for the church bulletin that I use to go through an actual Passover Seder. And you're welcome to use this. You can go online and find a bunch of Messianic style, which means it includes Yeshua, it includes Jesus. You can go online and you'll find a lot of different Haggadahs or Haggadot. And you can just have your pick. Make your own. You know, if it's not exactly the way you want to do it, make your own. It's totally fine. So this year, I'm going to show you what I'm really excited about. This is the napkin that I'm going to be using for my Passover Seder this year. It says Pesach down here at the bottom, and it's got the matzah. My husband said it looked like Doritos. Isn't he cute? Has matzah and a pretty little cup and a shofar and a menorah. And so I just thought that was really, really pretty. Some years I like to use my china. Oh, look, my china. This year I'm not going to be able to do that because I'm going to be presenting to a group and I just don't have enough, and lugging it to a location and lugging it back home, like it was just going to be a lot of work. So I decided to put my money and my napkins. I ordered them off of somewhere on the internet. And I'm actually using like these compostable paper plates. I thought they were kind of cute, being square, and they're brown, kind of a tan. And I think they'll look real nice with a white tablecloth. And let's see, pretend this is my white tablecloth with my little brown taupe colored plates and my cute little napkin. So that's the nerdy decorator in me, okay? But that stuff is not important. What's important is the spiritual lessons. So, but you can have a little fun with the decor if you want to. Some of you have asked about the Passover Seder plate. I do have one. This was gifted to me by my mother a few years ago, and it says Pesach, and it has all of the components that would be used in a traditional Jewish Passover Seder. I don't always use this. I usually just kind of decorate with it. And I don't use everything on here, but some things I do. So, but listen, this is not, you don't have to have this. You don't have to have that. You certainly do not. One year, I bought these. I think there's 2 of them in here. Yeah. They're plastic, disposable Seder plates. I think I bought this off of Amazon. And it kind of, if you can see, it kind of has a dip in it to where you can put the different parts of the Seder plate on it. And they're plastic. So I just washed them and kept them, and they don't have to be disposable. But I'm not using those this year. This year, I'm using the little trays I bought last year at the Dollar Tree. So last year I had a crew, and I just bought, I know they're clear, so I don't know if you can see them, these little $1 plates at Dollar Tree. And I can put my matzah in here, and my little cup with salt water here, and my parsley here, and my horseradish here. Like, they work just fine. I got some in this shape and some in this shape, and if something awful happens to them, well, I can just throw them away because they cost $1. But nothing awful happened to them last year, and I just washed them up and kept them, and that's what we're going to use. Some years, like if it's just the 3 of us at my house, I have several special cups. They're not all exactly alike, but I will use these if it's just me and my family. But with a group, I don't have enough, so we're going to use some clear plastic cups. But I'm going to use this one this year, probably this one, at the place that we set for Yeshua. Our Jewish brothers and sisters, when they do a traditional Passover Seder, they will set a place at their table for Elijah. Isn't that fun? So they'll have the place all set up, and it'll look special. Like Elijah gets a better spot than everybody else and has a nicer little setup, and perhaps a nicer cup. But I don't set a place for Elijah because Yeshua tells us Elijah's already come. He explains that John the Baptist was the one in the wilderness crying, make way. So now I like to set a place for Yeshua because he's the one that we're watching for. We don't have to watch for Elijah anymore. Elijah has come. Now we're watching for the return of Yeshua. So I like to get my special cup and a special place setting and make sure that we leave room for Yeshua at our Passover gathering. And it's fun, to send the kids to the door and, do you see him? Do you see him coming? And, kind of let the kids have some fun, looking to see if Yeshua is coming. Because he's coming, right? Why not? Why not come on Passover? So I hope I've encouraged you. If you're stressing, chill. It's going to be okay. The important things are to follow the biblical command. Okay? Get together if you can with other people. If you can't, do it by yourself. I know that there are people who their families don't even know they're doing it. Okay? If you're in a hard marriage, a hard family situation, serve a salad for dinner that night with, kind of a bitter herb in it. Make some special bread that might be unleavened. And wouldn't it be fun to have grape juice for supper tonight? Yeah, let's do it. They don't have to know, okay? Do the best you can. And the point where we can't do, that's where the grace of Yeshua comes in, okay? Let him carry you. Let him guide your steps, okay? Worry about the physical just a little bit. Get it set up. Take it seriously. Do your homework. But at the end of the day, the spiritual is where the lesson is. We are to recognize that Yeshua is our Passover lamb. We are to recognize that he desires us to come into covenant with him. We are to recognize that this week of unleavened bread is all about sanctification. And you'll figure that out quickly. As I go through the week of unleavened bread, any year I've been able to do it, I always leave something. I always find something to clean out, even after it's way past I was supposed to have done that. You know, sometimes I'll find myself with a bagel in the toaster, and then I'm like, it wasn't even supposed to be in my house, and now it's in my toaster. Or maybe I actually, put cream cheese on it and took a bite, and then I remembered. So I think you will realize if you participate in the week of unleavened bread and get the leaven out of your house, that you'll find some more. You will. And this is supposed to teach us to become sanctified. This is supposed to teach us that we can't ever think that we've arrived, okay? You don't get to the top of the staircase on this side of eternity, friends. It will be a constant searching in our hearts, a constant time of repenting and bringing our sin before the Lord and asking for forgiveness. Yeshua, our high priest, he's there. He is there, and he is pleading on our behalf, and we're covered by his blood. He's also our groom. Okay, the other thing that we learn as we dig deeply into this Passover season, when we drink his cup, we are drinking into a betrothal. We're going to be married to him. Okay, Passover is the beginning of a wedding story. It's the beginning of a wedding story that will be complete when Yeshua returns, that we see through the feasts, the elements of the Jewish wedding. If you have extra time between now and Passover, you may want to do a little research on the components of a Jewish wedding. You might find that very interesting. I would also like to recommend, I follow a blog on Facebook called Ruth's Road. It's by Christine Eisner, and she blogs from a Christian Jewish perspective. She's a Christian who married a Jewish gentleman who also believes in Yeshua. And so she has lived, she's lived a real interesting life with tons of insight that I've never had until I started walking this way a few years ago. So her blog is called Ruth's Road, and I find her on Facebook. So you may want to start following that blog and reading along with her. And she really gets into the components of the covenant and the marriage. So, I'm dropping breadcrumbs for you, but she's kind of got some things put together. So especially if you've done this a year or two and you're looking to go deeper, I recommend maybe checking her blog out. And she's written a book as well, and her stuff is pretty good. So I haven't read everything that she's put out there, so I can't tell you she's perfect or anything like that. But I respect her work. How's that? All right, friends. I'm excited for you. I know you're getting excited. Our time is getting near. The calendar that I keep, I will be keeping Passover on the evening of April the 15th. The next day, April the 16th, is the first day of unleavened bread. So it's a high Sabbath. It's also the Sabbath. It's a Saturday this year. So the very next day, what's that put us to? April 17th would then be the Feast of Firstfruits, which this year, not every year, but this year happens to be the same day that our friends in the church are celebrating the resurrection of Yeshua. So I'm glad that they're going to be celebrating on First Fruits this year. All right. I am not going to belabor this video and keep talking when I've said what I needed to say. I hope to hear from some of you more about your celebrations, and closer to Passover, I will actually open up the page and let you post your own pictures and things on our page to share with one another. I think we did that after Sukkot, so I will do that again with you after Passover. So take a picture of the cool things that you do, and you'll have an opportunity to share them with your feasting friends. All right? Okay, guys, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.